everybody, Hebrew77 here, and I have something here that will blow your minds away. As you already can see, judging by the picture I've got up on the screen, you can see Tiny Toon Adventures. Tiny Toon Adventures is a show, a cartoon on Fox Kids. I believe it was first on Fox Kids and then moved over to the WB network. This one was brought to you to me from JM. So JM, if you're watching this video, thank you very much. He noticed that it is now Tiny Toon, and I distinctly remember it, and he remembers it as Tiny Toons, not with the adventures on there as well, but the comic books shows it as Tiny Toon Adventures, and the name of the show apparently was Tiny Toon Adventures. Well, I found some residue that it was in fact at one time Tiny Toons, and I'm going to share that with you as soon as let's see if I can get back here. There it is. This residue was not that hard to find. In fact, it just took me mere seconds to find this one. And of course, there's the name of this. I believe this is a DVD, Tiny Toons Two-Tone Town. And as you can see right there, the title, Tiny Toons. I don't think I've found really anything else as far as residual evidence goes. I did check some things on eBay that I'd like to share with you. And there's a song. The song I will play for you here momentarily. But let me go ahead and we'll go to eBay and we'll see what we can see. And already you can see here vintage Warner Brothers Looney Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. So this person here remembers it as Tiny Toons. You can see the looks like they're selling little McDonald toys. So let's scroll down here and see if anyone else remembers it as Tiny Toons. McDonald's, Happy Meals, vintage Looney Tune Tiny Toons. Okay, there you go. There's another one that remembers it as Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. Looney Tunes. Spelled Tunes, and I have my theory on that. I'm the one person that sees Looney Tunes and says that it's Tunes. There's another, let's see, Tiny. This one actually has it the way it is now, Tiny Toon Adventures. Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. Tiny Toon. And what says Tiny Toons 2 for the NES, and on the box, let's see here. Let me click on that. See if I can get a larger image. Oh, right there. on the NES. Oh, wait a minute! It changed. It changed right in front of my eyes. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. But no. This is Tiny Toon. Okay, so this is, I find this a lot. Sometimes right here on the box it says Tiny Toon, and you go over to the description, it says Tiny Toons. So that's a weird one. You would think, a lot of people like to point out that people just misspell things all the time, and this is not very good residual. However, it's right there on the box, Tiny Toon. Why would this person write Tiny Toons when clearly on the cartridge it says Tiny Toon? I seem to find this kind of stuff a lot, so I found that interesting as well. You would think that they could just look at the cartridge and type, It ain't like they just type something in and it shows up that way. If you got autocorrect automatically in your computer too, also that's the other thing. A lot of people point out that things are misspelled a lot. However, this I don't think this is the case with this one, because why would he misspell it? He's got plenty of opportunities. He's got Toon on the box, and yet spells it Toons. So I just found that interesting. So we'll go back here, and computer's running a little bit slow. Let's see. We got Tiny Toon Adventures. He remembers it. Tiny Toon. See there? Tiny Toon. Let's see. Tiny Toons. Kid Robot. Tiny Toons. And you can't, well, shoot. Can't really see the box there because they got Slappy Squirrel covering the box. But let me just go ahead and click on it. See if they got Sandy Squirrel away from the box. It doesn't look like there's any room for an S there, so I'll go on. So yeah, looks like there's a lot of spellings, and again, if you're misspelling it, would you not just go back and correct yourself? There's Tiny Toons, Happy Meal Tiny Toons. So a lot of people, if they are misspelling it, there's a lot of them doing it. That one is the way it is now. Tiny Toons Fanny Pack. And again, right here on the fanny pack says Tiny Toon, and yet this person remembers it as Tiny Toons. So there you go. There's a lot of, I like to go to eBay a lot of times because you do find a lot of residual, even though people tend to point out that people misspell things all the time. Yeah, but when you have it on the cartridge, here's another example. He's got that upside down, but this guy spells it Tiny Toons. Let's check out the cartridge to see if he even knew what the spelling was. And it looks like here it is, even though it's upside down. I don't know why he took a picture upside down, but it is Tiny Toon, as you can see there. So a lot of evidence spelling it Tiny Toons here. So um, scrolling down, Tiny Toons, Tiny Toon. It looks like this one is kind of split, Tiny Toons. A lot of Tiny Toons. A lot of people misspelling it, Tiny Toons. Hey, listen, you guys better check out your boxes and look at the cover art, because you guys are misspelling this like crazy. Just like everybody is misspelling it like crazy. Tiny Toon, Tiny Toon. Again, on the packages, Tiny Toon with Tiny Toons in the guy's description. Hey, if you're wanting to sell a toy, people, you better get the name right. That's all I'm saying. This one seems to have done it. So definitely finding plenty of residual here. Oh wow, wait a minute. Did I just see something? Man, I think I'm seeing things. Never mind. Okay, so there's some residual on eBay. Man, I keep thinking I'm seeing like the S on the packages, and I'm seeing just Tiny Toon. And another thing I wanted to point out is, yeah, I know the screen's blurry, but the point is the song. So, oh, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Oh, I'm showing the Warner Brother logo. No.
We're Toonie, we're all a little loony, and in this cartoony, we're invading your TV. We're comic dispatchers, we cut the long fences. Our Tiny Toon adventures get a dose of comedy.
So they're saying Tiny Toon Adventures, Tiny Toon Adventures, and not Tiny Toons. Now, when you say Tiny Toons Adventures, it doesn't sound right, and I understand that. But I'd also like to point out that there is many of them, and it's just not just tiny. They're not just one toon in the cartoon. There are several toons, and I also wanted to point that out. But now in our memories, and believe me, I remember this show being called Tiny Toons, but I also have a dual memory where it was called exactly what it is now, Tiny Toon Adventures. And you know, I just wonder also, just playing devil's advocate here, if Tiny Toons was something that we said when we were kids or younger, young adults. I was probably in my teenage years by the time this came out, but I still watched it because it came on right before Batman the Animated Series, if I'm recalling correctly. But I think there was this, Animaniacs, and Batman the Animated Series, and that, of course, was one of my favorite animated series on Batman. But I'm wondering, did we call it Tiny Toons when we got ready to watch the show? It's like, hey, Tiny Toons is on. But if that's the case, where did we get that from? Because I do remember calling it Tiny Toons. And, well, who knows? Subconsciously in our minds. But, so, I've got the lyrics here. I'm going to go ahead and view those for you. The sound off. This goes by a little fast. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay. We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony, and then this cartoon, and we're invading your TV. Okay, so you see all that. Tiny Toon Adventures. So, well, there you go. So I've got up here one of the example of Looney Tunes. As you can see, they've got it spelled both way, Toons and Tunes. And Tunes is how they have it now. and this is how a lot of people remember it. But I gotta say that I'm in the 2% of remembering it Tunes. And my logic behind that is because the original show, the title was Merry Melodies. Merry Melodies. And to me, that would mean that this Looney Tunes makes sense. But I definitely can see how people see it this way as well, because tunes, they're tunes. They're not a bunch of musical notes jumping around on the screen. Toons. I could see how that makes sense to a lot of people. And the spin-off to Looney Tunes, Tunes, is Tiny Toons, Toons. But now, and people used to use that for residual. And I said all that to say this, that the tunes in Looney Tunes, and this version of Looney Tunes, is wrong now, because Tiny Toons has changed to Tiny Toon. But if you're a Looney Tunes, Toons, Looney Tunes type of person, then you remember Tiny Toon is Tiny Toons. And so yeah, I definitely wanted to point that out, and it's just something to think about. You guys can thumbs up this video if you liked it. If you want to see more, I've got a lot more. I got a lot more Mandela effect videos, and you can check those out. But I definitely see a case for Tiny Toons and not Tiny Toon. So if you're a Tiny Toons person, then I would say this is a major change, and certainly a major change for me. And again, I'd like to thank JM for bringing this to my attention, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.